So, I was planning on making a Pokemon Unite review today because I love the game and have so much to say about it, but if I'm being honest, it seems like 80% of you guys have no idea what you're doing, so I wanted to make a video about the top mistakes I have seen in Pokemon Unite. Now, if that sounds harsh, I'm doing this because I care. If you're frustrated about losing, maybe you could use some advice. Also, if everyone's just playing at a better level, that means new players are going to stick around longer because they're less frustrated, the games aren't as bad overall, and then the game has more longevity. I just want to see Pokemon Unite succeed. If this video helps out, or if you got a friend that could also use some advice, please leave a like, share this video with your friends, comment down below, subscribe, check out my playlist. I'm going hard on Pokemon Unite. Also, follow me on twitch.tv/Verlisify because I'm going to be streaming whenever I am not making content. So let's get into this. And number one is not tunneling on Zapdos. And this is where the video starts off kind of weird because Zapdos is a bit more advanced when it comes to playing around it properly. But another problem is that Zapdos is the most important thing in the game, and it quickly makes itself apparent that's the most important thing in the game because you could be winning. You could think that it's impossible to lose this game, and then they steal Zapdos, or you just slack off and they sneak it away really quick, and then suddenly you're down 200 points and the game's over. Or you're thinking the game is unwinnable, you steal it, and then you get enough points to come back. Or like an otherwise kind of just a lot of slop happens around Zapdos. Now, there's enough going on with Zapdos to where it could easily be its own 10-minute video, but the big takeaway from this point is that in most cases, or at least a lot of cases, you don't need Zapdos to win. Understand the game state. Try to consider where the scoring is. At that 2-minute warning, the game tells you if you're ahead or behind and by what margin, or if it's a close game. So don't risk it there. And a rule of thumb is that if Zapdos is spawned and you're considering taking it, look at the minimap. If 5 circles are not near you, like if you do not have all 5 teammates around Zapdos, do not start it. Like, yes, it can be frustrating when you see an opening. Another problem is, this does happen where people just go brain dead after 2 minutes, and it can be frustrating. Where it's like, oh, we killed 2 of them, we killed 3 of them, that's a free Zapdos take, and then someone recalls, someone else goes and takes a Corphish, or it's evolved to a Crawdon at that point, and then, a Zapdos opportunity is missed, but then you just have 2 people that want Zapdos start it. That's an int. You are the ones throwing away the game in that situation. So if everyone is not on board, don't go for Zapdos. All you're doing is making yourself and Zapdos easier to kill for your opponents to win the game. Now it goes the other way, that if there's less than 2 minutes, try to see where your teammates are going. If they start posturing towards Zapdos, you don't need to get the 5 Pokeballs from one of the random creeps on the other side of the map near your base. You need to start playing as a team because Zapdos is important. You need to be aware of it at all times. And also, if you're a minute 20 left in the game and you're just kind of maybe top side-ish or bot side, and you haven't seen the enemies in a while, they're probably taking Zapdos. Also, please try to apply common sense as much as possible. I have seen people try to start Zapdos with less than 30 seconds left instead of just running it down and trying to make the game-winning score. If you win a team fight by their base, or if you can kill enough people or you can find a sneak or something, that's all you need to win in some situations with the double points, and you don't need Zapdos. You don't need Zapdos to win as much as you think. And I don't know the exact math. That's probably worth on the Zapdos deep dive video. But yeah, there's not a lot of time left, less than 40 seconds, and you're comfortably ahead. Don't start Zapdos, just play to keep them off of Zapdos. And yes, they can backdoor, but I mean, you can use 4 to hold them off of Zapdos as long as there's not a crazy team fight or something. Again, this is where it gets a lot more intense on Zapdos. But if you can hold them off to where there's less than 30 seconds, they don't have enough time to take Zapdos and then score. That's when you can just back, and then you can try to hold them off while they're trying to come in. And maybe there's an exact time where Zapdos just becomes completely irrelevant. So no, it actually isn't 2 minutes of just intensity around Zapdos. At a certain point, it's just too far away to score with. So yeah, Zapdos is the biggest thing that just causes games to be needlessly thrown away, and hopefully this just makes people not throw the game away as often or as stupidly. I don't know. So let's get into number 2. Overextending. Now, this applies at all stages of the game and kind of goes into point number 3. Point number 3, don't int for scoring in the late game. Like, I've also seen when people get ahead, they stay out for way too long. Like, you don't have to score and then take all their camps and then score again and then score again. The rubber banding in this game is pretty strong. So, I mean, like, I've seen it towards, like, we were behind 2 levels. They all, like, kind of push up, but they're at half health from, like, winning 1.5 fights, but we all respawn. We came back. They don't get to get their cap because we jump on them off the pad and then stop them and stuff. Like, a lot of weird stuff can happen, but then you get a level off killing them, and now they're dead. And since they were ahead, they have a long respawn timer, so that's a Rotom pickup, that's a Dreadnought pickup, and then before you know it, the game feels even again, and depending on some of your characters, that might be enough to, like, put your champions or your Pokemon into the late game, and now you're winning, even though it seemed like they were impossibly ahead, or maybe you're impossibly ahead. Don't overextend. You know, if you're already up by what feels like 200 points, be a bit more reserved. So I guess it's like point 2 and 3 kind of mixed together, but let's go back to overextending. And this also applies in the laning phase because the game is weird. There isn't really a super hard established meta right now, but there's like some weird stuff where it's like, oh, Lillipup went up, so that means you gotta go down and then gank bot, and then the other one, they're gonna go up and gank top. Sometimes you just have both people immediately, like both junglers immediately run top or something. Sometimes just one jungler comes into one lane. So be aware that weird stuff can happen, and just really, really bad if you die to a gank, like a 2v3 early on in the game, they get to drop off a lot of points. You didn't even get to your points, you also lost some right there, and now they're super far ahead of you and you've effectively lost lane. So if you're still losing games, or if your laning isn't incredibly dominant, or you're still getting like bullied out, or if they just have like an Alolan Ninetales or even a Alolan Vulpix, don't push up too far. You know, you fight, you can test over the Corphish, but you can do that from your half of the lane. So you can test a bit, maybe you get it, maybe you get a steal, maybe they open themselves up for a KO, but don't throw away the game within like the first minute or minute and a half because you take a silly fight. Like, it does feel weird if there's downtime in the game for a while, but I mean, really until Vespiquen spawns, you don't have to fight. You don't have to cross the half of the map. Like, you'll see other people try to rush you or try to do silly things, but again, if you aren't like at a super high level of play, like, it's just not good to int away the game immediately. Now, if you're watching this video, you might not be familiar with like Moba terms, or you might not like have super high developed skill right now. If you hear someone talk about inting, it's short for intentional feeding, but it's mostly used as a derogatory term where it's like, oh, this guy's inting. Even though he's not intentionally dying, he's dying in such a stupid way that it's unacceptable. So don't find unacceptable ways to die, or unnecessary ways to die, at least in the beginning, and then don't do it later in the game as well. Number 4. This is another big one, and maybe rival Zapdos for games lost for absolutely no reason, and that is not defending. Map awareness, I understand. It's hard, it could take time to understand, you might just tunnel. Again, don't tunnel, that's just a general rule, but especially don't tunnel on Zapdos. It could be hard to like kind of figure out everything that's going on, but again, if you haven't seen an enemy in a while, or you catch a glimpse of them and they're in a weird spot, it's like, oh, why are they running towards our base or up and away, or like, why did I just see someone in the jungle? Just put 2 and 2 together. They're trying to backdoor. They're trying to sneak a goal. And if that's in the last 2 minutes, or even the last couple minutes, if they're going to drop 40, 50 points, that can be game changing. So I just see it where, like, people let enemies run past them. No, here's what you have to do. You have to expect everyone to be try-hard sweats, because that's where the more skilled person, that's what the more skilled person is going to do. They're going to try to abuse your lack of skill or lack of knowledge about the game, and they're going to get away with the things that they shouldn't be getting away with, such as those easy goals. And also, make sure you use your pad quickly. Like, you need to get used to just mashing and like holding the button to where you can jump to that second goal. I've seen people take as long to get the targeting to the goal jump as it does to drop 40 or 50 points. It's mind-boggling. Also, don't immediately leave base. Again, try to take stock of everything. See, like, hey, I think someone might be going top, or I think someone might be going bot, and wait an extra second. Make sure you get the right direction, and then you can stop that from happening. Or also, if your base is open, if your final goal is open, just kind of wait. Maybe someone's going to come from topside. Maybe someone's going to run through the middle, and then you have an easy stop. Like, you just walk out of base and you throw an ability or an auto attack at them, and it takes so long to drop off 50 points, you can stop them. If I see people jumping over people that are capping in the base, have patience. Don't do that. expect people to be sweaty like that. Expect people to try to win because they just want to win. So try to be more aware of defensive opportunities and just take that into consideration more than you already are. And for frick's sake, if someone is scoring, looking to score, actively scoring, or anything like that, stop taking the camp you are taking. I have seen a good dozen games lost because someone is taking the Crawdon and then over the wall, just right there within like auto attack range or ability range, someone's trying to score and they just let them score. Again, like awareness can be hard, but at that point it's just unforgivable. So just don't let those things happen. Another mistake you're making is playing ranked too early. I understand that it doesn't feel like you're really accomplishing anything in normals, and even if you're in like the lowest beginner tier and you're losing your games, well, you're not demoting too far, and if you win every once in a while, maybe you float up and you start gaining rank, so it feels like your games have more value. If you still haven't developed a good amount of game sense or a high amount of skill that feels very competitive, please stay out of ranked because other people, they're trying to start ranked. Like they might have been in the games longer. They might have played the beta. They might just have more game sense from playing MOBAs before. Like if this is your first MOBA, or if you're like bronze or iron in League of Legends, give more time to practice. Really try to understand the game and do better. At least make it to where you're not losing lane. If you think you're good enough for ranked, do maybe 5 or 10 more games on your main so you can really get that character down, or at least be level 11 because then you have access to all of your items so you're not immediately disadvantaged, or at the very least level 9 so you can level up some of your items and not be at a disadvantage. The thing is, even if you don't feel like you're losing too bad or if it's a beginner tier, some people that have been practicing or that have MOBA experience, it's going to be their first games there, and you could be spoiling those games entirely. If you feel like you're getting outmatched by your lane, or if the opponent just jungles better than you in even 30% of your games, you're not ready for ranked. This is the big competitive mode, so if you're not taking it seriously, if you're not super competitive, please don't play ranked until you get a bit more skill under your belt. Yeah, it sounds elitist and toxic, but again, that's ranked. That is where having a low amount of skill is unforgivable, and you deserve all the hate you get for costing games in that format. Number 6, at the time of making this video, in the current state of Pokemon Unite, which is the first week of launch, if you pick Slowpoke or Bulbasaur in a ranked match, you are trolling. These characters just are completely useless. Now, yes, of course, there's a caveat. If you've made it to veteran tier because you played the beta, or you have put 100 games in normal mode on Slowbro and you're the best Slowbro in the world, or you're like an incredible main and you've carried games, obviously this doesn't apply to you. But if you're just getting your feet wet in the game, these characters are very underwhelming compared to the rest of the cast. Yes, if you want to play Bulbasaur or Slowpoke because they're your favorite Pokemon, please keep it in normals. But with my experience, Slowpoke is very hard to lane with. So yeah, if you have a duo friend and they're going to put up with your weak Slowpoke in the early game, do it. But I've seen Slowpoke and Bulbasaur just have no idea what they're doing and just fall behind or be completely useless because they're not as good as other Pokemon. Now, Slowbro, I feel, is better, but Bulbasaur, it's a complete loss. Like, if I see Bulbasaur on my team, free loss. If it's on the enemy team, free win. Their current state is just not as good. Other attackers, other tanks, if you want to play Slowpoke, I recommend Mr. Mime instead. Rewire your brain to just understanding the nonsense of that character, and you are going to win more games and have much better impact, and your teammates won't hate you. Venusaur just sucks and is completely useless. Yeah, you're probably going to get mad at me for saying that, but that's just the state of the game right now. Again, play with friends or normals if you really like those Pokemon. And then number 7, maybe one of the biggest things is not adapting as your skill improves. So a lot of people got mad at me in my video, like my first beginner guide, where I was like, hey, don't int. Don't prioritize scoring too much. And they're like, well, scoring is the entire thing about the game. That's really bad advice. But if you're new to the game and you're not confident in your skill and other people have more experience than you, you're not going to be able to score early anyway. So trying to force it means you're just going to needlessly die and then give up things. Or if you try to force a score, maybe it gets stopped, maybe you get away and not die, but you're still losing out on timing. I think just like focusing on experience, focusing on understanding how the game works is more important than just mindlessly scoring or mindlessly inting into Zapdos or anything like that. Same thing about Rotom and Dreadnought. Their importance is going to increase as your skill increases. Early on, if you're just like trying to take it and you're getting beat up by Rotom and you don't have any teammates helping you, and then 3 of the enemies roll up, kill you, take Rotom, and drop 100 points, probably wasn't worth going for Rotom. Maybe like helping out your team or rotating or like falling back and just letting it happen. Like sure, they take Rotom, but maybe you get to defend. Maybe you get to block Rotom. Maybe a teammate finally comes and helps out. And then like that play doesn't go as disastrously. But as you become better, as you become more advanced, then yeah, if you're like, oh, well, this guy said I shouldn't be prioritizing scoring, but I'm confident in my scoring. Well, then you're confident in your scoring. You have evolved beyond the needs of that guide, and now you can understand the game to where you can develop your own strategies. So you also need to be adaptive. Just because a YouTuber said something, or you read something on Reddit, or Twitter, or Discord, or a friend told you it, doesn't mean it's always 100% true. Once you evolve into your own autonomy and game understanding, and you keep making the correct decisions more often than not, then that is the improvement you are looking for to get better at really any game or anything in life. So yeah, try not to tunnel on other things that you've heard if it seems like your intuition, your game sense, your skill is telling you otherwise. So I think that's another mistake people make. They don't adapt. And I think that's going to drive the point home. Actually, no, wait. I just realized another one. Only picking one main. I've seen people that are like, oh, I really like this Pokemon, so I'm only going to play it. And maybe they just don't understand how to play that Pokemon at their current skill level. Or maybe, like, just them as a person do not synergize with what the goals of that Pokemon are. Maybe the Pokemon is underwhelming, like I said, with Slowpoke and Bulbasaur. Don't only play one game on something and then give it up forever just because you lost or just because you kind of weren't feeling it. Now, yeah, if you completely hate the playstyle, and even if you like look up guides of the Pokemon, or you've like seen other gameplay, and you're like, nah, this isn't for me. It's not for you. It's not for you. But out of 20 Pokemon, and also an increasing roster depending on when you may or may not be watching this video, there's gotta be 3 or 4 that are good for you. I picked up Wigglytuff, and I love that Pokemon. Also, like, even though I resent Zeraora, I'm really good on Zeraora, but everyone's really good at Zeraora at launch. I've seen a lot of people, they just pick one Pokemon, and then they're just bad with that Pokemon for a long time, and they keep on picking it instead of like trying out other things. Now, this could be for a lot of different reasons. Maybe they just need to develop more on that Pokemon, and they could become great one day. Maybe they just need to improve their personal skill and game sense and stuff like that. But if that's the case, then don't go into ranked and spend a lot more time. Yeah, normals can be frustrating, especially if you don't have friends, especially if like somehow, even if you know you're not that great of a player and everyone else around you is even worse and just like completely brain dead. Yeah, it can be frustrating, but eventually you will become stronger in that adversity, and maybe that's what it takes for you to get good on that Pokemon. Or maybe the Pokemon just like too weak in its current state. Keep it in your back pocket. Maybe pick up something meta. I know metaslaving is bad, but with this current game state and with the amount of inting I've seen in this and just the amount of stupidity I've seen, just try not to be heavy. Just put as much effort as possible into just not being heavy. And I guess that's like the summary for this video. Don't be stupid. Dang, I just thought of another one off the back of that last topic. We are completely removed from the script. I don't even know how many points I've made. I'm just gonna round it to 10. YouTube likes that number, people like clicking on that number. Either way, a huge mistake people make is refusing to understand what other Pokemon do. Like, even if they're like, oh, this Pokemon's busted, they're just gonna show up and do garbage on me and there's nothing I can do about it. That's a horrible mentality to have. Please try to understand other Pokemon by reading and looking at their abilities and also playing as them. I'm going to do a self-plug here. I have a playlist of all my Pokemon Unite content. There's going to be a lot of helpful things if you want to get better or just watch gameplay. But I've done gameplay of every single Pokemon. And honestly, I did that for me first and content second. Because if I'm playing as that Pokemon, I understand what people want to do. Like if there's an opponent or even an ally, it's like, oh, hey, my Lucario wants to do this. Maybe I should back him up. Or maybe this is going to happen over here and this is what my Charizard wants to do. Or like someone's running at me. Like a Machamp is running at me. Oh, he has Submission active. He's just going to be immune to CC and then drag me into their team. And if he ults, I'm absolutely going to die. So it's good to know intentions of a Pokemon. And one of the best ways of doing that is either playing the Pokemon or watching my gameplay. I have 9.5 years of MOBA experience. And yeah, people have been playing League of Legends or Dota longer than that. but I've memorized like what every champion, all 150 of them do in League of Legends, and applying that to Pokemon is very helpful because as I'm playing it, even if I hate the Pokemon, like I never want to play Greninja, I don't like the playstyle, I'm not an assassin player, Absol isn't for me, but even with that little bit of gameplay that I have under, I'm like, ah, that's what it does. And that realization really helps. And by watching my gameplay, you're also getting that experience, that Moba experience, that just Pokemon Unite experience where I'm like, that's what's happening. And I try to explain it as I'm playing the game. So that could also help you out as well. Watch a couple of those gameplay. I'm not going to say watch one and be done because like I'm not proud of my Slowbro gameplay and some of the other ones are kind of iffy because the game is weird sometimes, no matter how skilled you are. And also, I'm playing a Pokemon I have no intention on playing ever again, or also I might not be compatible with it, so it's not going to be the highest quality gameplay, but again, it's going to be more representative of what you might experience when trying to understand that Pokemon, so if you watch one or all of those, could be very beneficial for you. And it can really be summarized in one thing: don't be stupid. Hope you guys enjoy the video, hope you all have a nice day, thank you very much for watching.